take out your calculators, would you? Also, please, anybody that's participating with this. Okay, guys, so listen. Students struggling with fractions is very, very common. I don't know why. I think maybe because there are so many different rules that you have to keep straight. Who says that's what I think the difficulty is? Like, how do you, and I don't know what it is. I don't know. But anyway, you're going to be great. Okay. We're going to start with example 1. Okay. So this is 2/5 plus 1/3. So if you're adding or subtracting, you have to get a common denominator. So what I want you to do, some people will do this, guys. Look, some people will keep those two fractions separate. I don't think that that's a good idea. I think it's good to pull those together right now. So as soon as I realize I need one, then I'm going to get it. Okay. So this guy right here, he has a 5 and he needs a 15. So you go 5 times 3 is 15. So now my bottom's a 15, but if I multiply the bottom by 3, I have to multiply the top by 3. So that would be 2 times 3 is a 6. Then if you look at this other fraction, 3 times 5 is 15. So 1 times 5 is 5. So it looks like that. So then you have 6 plus 5, which is 11 over 15, and you're done. Okay. All right, example 2. Now we're going to start pulling some variables in there, okay? So you're subtracting, and you don't have a common denominator. So there's going to be a numerical part of your common denominator and a variable part, okay? So if your numbers are 5 and 2, then the common denominator is going to be 10. It has to be the smallest number that both of those go into. Well, 2 goes into 10 and 5 goes into 10, so that's it. And you also need an x, okay? So look at this guy right here, guys. What do I have to do to a 2 to get it to a 10? Multiply by 5. And you've got that x right there. This is 5 times 5, which is 25, like that. This guy right here has a 5. What do I multiply by 5 to get a 10? That would be a 2. And I'm also missing the x. So I have to put an x there. So a negative 3 times 2x is a negative 6x, like that. Now this is important, okay? I have 3 people in this picture. Guys, look. Here's a person, and here's a person. So can I cancel the x's? Everybody tell me that, yes or no? No, because not all 3 people have an x. So yay if everybody does, then do it, but not everybody has an x. That 25 does not have an x, so you cannot do anything, and that's your answer. Okay? Okay, example 3. I'm going to do some, and then we're going to take a little break, and you're going to do some. And then we're going to come back, and we're going to do, some more concepts. Okay. Subtracting these, common denominator. You guys, most of the time, the common denominator is just pulling those things together. So this guy right here has the x plus 1. He's missing the 3. So you go 5 times 3 is 15. This guy right here has the 3, he's missing the x plus 1. Now this is tricky, so I want you to watch. On the top right, you have a binomial multiplied by a binomial. You have to FOIL that. So when I FOIL that, I'll write it here. I have x to the second minus x minus 2. But see this negative? You have to distribute it through that. So when you distribute, you get a negative x to the second, a positive x, and a positive 2. So then you have negative x to the second plus x plus 17 all over 3 times x plus 1, and you're done. Okay? Who's participating in this fraction thing? Raise your hand to the ceiling. Keep your hand up if you're good, if you're with me. Okay, good. Okay, example 4. Again, the second you realize, you guys, that you're adding or subtracting fractions, then the first thing you say is, I must get a common denominator. So guys, this is 3 over 1. So common denominator is x minus 5. This guy right here does not have the x minus 5. So I have to multiply the top and the bottom by x minus 5. When I do that, I get 3x minus 15. This next guy right here already has the x minus 5, so he's totally good to go. So that's just minus 4. So now I have 3x minus 19 over x minus 5, and I'm done. Okay, we're going to do one more, then we're going to take a quick break, and you're going to do those 3 problems, and then we're going to move on to multiplication. Okay, so here's question 5. Okay, common denominator, pull them together. This one's a little tricky, so you're going to want to watch closely. This guy right here has the x minus 2. He's missing the x plus 5. So I'm going to put x plus 5 right here. But guys, this is a binomial times a binomial, so put parentheses around both of them, and then FOIL, and I get x a second plus 6x plus 5. Look at the next guy. He has the x plus 5. He's missing the x minus 2. Be careful. A binomial times a binomial, you have to FOIL. I'm going to FOIL it up here. So it's x a second minus 5x plus 6. Here's where people mess up, this negative. And I'm telling you guys, on this midterm, Weber will take off most of the points if you don't distribute that negative. So when you distribute it, it's a negative x to the second, a plus 5x, and a minus 6. Then when you combine it, x squared minus x squared goes away. You get 11x minus 1 over x minus 2 times x plus 5, and you're done. Okay, let's take not super long, like maybe 4 minutes, and start doing those practice ones. And then when you're done, I'm going to just turn this key on here, and you're going to see if you got those right, okay? Raise your hand if you're doing those problems and you're not done yet. Okay. I'm going to give you about 1 more minute, okay? All right, guys, take a look and see if you got them right, okay? There's your answer. So number 5 is 9 minus 20x over 12x. Number 6 is 4x plus 13 over 7 times x minus 2. If you distributed that 7 and got 4x plus 13 over 7x minus 14, it's the same thing. Okay. Question 7, negative 4x minus 22 over x minus 2 times x minus 8. Okay. Did anybody miss any of those and needs clarification? Okay, let's continue. Okay. So let's go to the second section. So now we're going to multiply and divide. Okay. So let's just go through these examples together. So question 8 is 2/3 multiplied by 6/5. Okay, you have a couple of options. You could do this. I would not do this, but you could. Look, 2 times 6 is 12. 5 times 3 is 15. Reduce. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 3 goes into 15 5 times. Done. So when you multiply the tops together, bottoms together. Done. I wouldn't do that, you guys, because you can cancel before you multiply. If you look at something on the top and something on the bottom, and if you can find a number that goes into both of them, you can reduce. So if you go like this, look, 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 2 times, 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 5 is 5, you can get the 4/5, I think, in a much easier way. Okay, let's do number 9 together. So This I do think you're going to encounter on one of your big tests. So you multiply the tops and you multiply the bottoms, but guys, I have the same thing on the top as the bottom. So this x plus 6 just cancels away with that x plus 6. So your answer is x minus 2 over x. You cannot cancel the x's because the negative 2 does not have an x. Okay, question 10. So you're multiplying, you look around to see if anything's identical. Let me say something right here. You guys look, see this x right here? It's not going anywhere unless I have an x that's free on the bottom, meaning not added or subtracted to anything. Could be an x the first, x the second, x the third, who cares? But it can't be added or subtracted to anything. And I don't have that. So I know that x is going to be sticking around. See the x minus 1 on the bottom? Do I have an x minus 1 anywhere on the top? Nope. X plus 2 on the top. Do I have any x plus 2s on the bottom? No. X minus 3 on the bottom. Any x minus 3s on the top? No. So nothing cancels. So you just multiply the tops together and you get x squared plus 2x. Multiply the bottoms together and FOIL and you get x to the second minus 4x plus 3. That's your answer. Done. Okay. Number 10. Oh, that was 10. Number 11. Now we're going to do division. You guys, division is basically the same thing as multiplication. So you have that 5/3. You make your division and multiplication, and you flip the 1/6 upside down. You could write that as 30 over 3, and then go to a 10. I wouldn't. I always look first. I think it's better. So 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 6 2 times. 5 times 2 is 10, and I'm done. That's it. Okay, number 12. I'm going to write it as x minus 1 over x plus 5 multiplied by x plus 5 over x minus 7. So just flip the second guy upside down. See this x plus 5? It's going to cancel with that one. And your answer would be an x minus 1 on the top and an x minus 7 on the bottom. Nothing cancels. Done. Yes, honey?
If they can cancel before you flip it, can you do that?
No. No. You can only cancel when it's a multiplication. Yep. So always flip and then cancel. Good question, honey. Okay, number 13. I'm going to write this as 7 over 1 multiplied by x minus 8 over x plus 3. Is anything going to cancel, guys, before we multiply? No. So you just distribute the 7. 7x minus 54. On the bottom, you have an x plus 3, and you're done. That's it. Okay? You do the next 3 all by yourself, okay? Raise your hand if you're not done yet. Okay, I'll give you a couple more minutes. Okay, here are your answers. Let's see if you got it. Okay, so the first one is x plus 2 over x plus 7. The second one is 12, and the third one is x plus 6 over x minus 1. Does anybody need any clarification? Are you feeling better? Is this helping you? Tell me. Who's watching me? Let's see. Raise your hand. Give me just a nod. Is it helping? Is it clicking? It's just rules, and you just have to remember the rules. I really think that that's the problem. Okay, here we go with question number 18. Did we do? Oh, I numbered those weird. Oh, it's 14, 15, 17. There's no 16. That's the problem. Okay, here's number 18. So I didn't do it very well. So go to that paper that you've got. And you know how the main division bar, we've talked about this before, the main division bar is like supposed to be longer. So I want you to take this division bar on your paper and make that longer so you can see which one's the main one, because I don't think it's very clear. Okay? Okay. Listen to this. This is big. If the top had 2 separate fractions, like let's say it had this, 1 over x plus 4 over x minus 1. If you had 2 separate fractions, the first thing you have to do is pull those together. So get a common denominator. That's not the case. It's already just one little, nice little fraction. So there's nothing I have to do. Same thing on the bottom. It's just one fraction. So all you're going to do is this, guys. Look, x plus 5 over x minus 2. Make that main division bar a division symbol. And then it's x plus 1 over x minus 6. Remember, you cannot cancel anything here if anything would cancel. So you have to first make it a multiplication and then look around to see if anything will cancel, which it will not. So the top must be FOILed and the bottom must be FOILed. So it's x to the second minus x minus 30 over x to the second minus x minus 2. Nothing cancels, and I'm done. Okay, let's do number 19. So take your pencil and make that division bar right there, like just change it so that it looks like mine. Okay, look right here for just a second, would you? Look at number 18, the beginning. Compare that to 19. So do you see how it's very clear? One fraction divided by one fraction. This guy, I don't have that. So the first thing I have to do is pull the top together using a common denominator, pull the bottom together, getting a common denominator, then go to this stuff right here. Who says, I completely understand what you're saying? Let me see. Okay, great. Okay, look at the top. So right now, I'm going to make a big fraction bar, and I'm going to get a common denominator on the top. I'm completely ignoring the bottom. Haven't done anything yet. So this guy right here doesn't have the x minus 2. So I have to take the 5 and multiply it by x minus 2. When I do, I get 5x minus 10. This guy right here does have the x minus 2, so I'm just going to write down minus 3. Same thing on the bottom, but I have to pull those two guys together. So it's x minus 1 times x plus 2. Now this is going to get a little complicated, so watch. This guy right here has the x minus 1. He's missing the x plus 2. So I have to put x plus 2 here, but guys, now I have a binomial times a binomial. So I have to FOIL. So it's x to the second plus 5x plus 6. This guy right here has the x plus 2. He's missing the x minus 1. So I'm going to put an x minus 1 right there. Distribute the 6, and I get 6x minus 6. Now I'm going to take several steps at once. See on the top, that gives me 5x minus 13 over x minus 2. That main division bar is now a division symbol. On the top of the denominator is x to the second plus 11x. The 6's go away. 6 minus 6 cancel out. And then on the bottom, I have x minus 1 times x plus 2. Now, I do have one little piece of advice. See the numerator on the right? Do you see how you can take out an x? I am going to do that because it's not fully factored and maybe something will cancel. So I want to just make sure everything's nice and factored, okay? Now I'm going to write it as a multiplication. So I'm going to leave the first fraction the way it is, flip the second guy upside down, and it looks like this. You guys, I usually, when I teach this, I throw parentheses around the 5x minus 13 and the x minus 2, just so people remember those are stuck together. It's like one unit. Nothing's the same. And since it's so complicated, there's like 3 on top and 3 on the bottom, I don't think Weber State's going to make us multiply this out. So we're just going to write it as 5x minus 13 times x minus 1 times x plus 2 all over x times x minus 2 times x plus 11, like that. Okay? Okay, let's do number 20. Let's make that main fraction bar nice and long so the problem is very clear. Okay? It's a mess. I don't have a nice fraction on the top and a nice fraction on the bottom. So I've got to get some common denominators. So do your big fraction bar. On the top, pull those two denominators together. So this guy right here, guys, has the x plus 3. He's missing the x plus 1. So I have to take that x minus 4, multiply it by x plus 1, which is a binomial times a binomial. So I FOIL, and I get x to the second minus 3x minus 4. This second fraction right here has the x plus 1. You guys pay really good attention right here. This is what I think is going to happen to you. You will see this. So you have to understand this. Look at the pink. I've got the x plus 1. I'm missing the x plus 3. You guys, you're not distributing a 3. You're distributing a negative 3. So this is a negative 3x minus 9. So be careful. In the denominator, this is a 5 over 1. So your common denominator would be x minus 2. This guy right here is missing the x minus 2. So you distribute the 5 and you get 5x minus 10. The second guy is not missing the x minus 2, so you're going to go plus 6. Now I'm going to clean this up so it's x to the second. A negative 3x and a negative 3x is a negative 6x. A negative 4 and a negative 9 is a negative 13. That's all over x plus 3 times x plus 1. You guys, the guy on the top right there does not factor. If it did factor, I would, just to make sure nothing canceled, but it doesn't. This is going to be divided by 5x minus 4 over x minus 2. Now I'm going to flip it upside down. First fraction stays the way it is. Second fraction gets flipped upside down, so it looks like that. Nothing's going to cancel. I'm just going to write it one big thing all together. I'm not going to worry about distributing and multiplying those things all together. It's too big and complex, and Weber's really pretty lenient with whether you multiply it out or not. Okay? Who's watching me do this? Raise your hand. Did you understand that? You feeling better?
So
Okay.
I'm in internship right now, so can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to stamp you though.
Okay.
On the left of my desk, open the drawer and my stamp is in there. You can bring it to me. Okay, here's 21, you guys. So they want you to find f of x plus g of x. Yeah, just kind of dig in there, honey. So f of x is x plus 3 over 4 minus x, and you're adding it to g of x, thanks, hon, which is x minus 2 over x plus 6. You're just adding fractions. So you just need a common denominator, okay? Now, I will say this. See that 4 minus x? It's kind of weird. So let's erase it and rewrite it as negative x plus 4. And then it's still kind of weird because of the negative. So if we take out, I'm going to do it. If we take out a negative, then you're left with x minus 4. And then it's way better, okay? Now, it does make it a little more complicated. Don't ever have a negative on the bottom. So take that negative and pull it up to the top. But when you do that, you have to have parentheses around the x plus 3 because the negative affects both of those. So what I did is I reordered, factored out a negative, pulled the negative to the top, which is then going to have to be distributed. Who said I'm with you? Raise your hand. Okay. So the bottom is x minus 4 times x plus 6. So this guy has the x minus 4. He's missing the x plus 6. When I FOIL those together, I get x to the second plus 9x plus 18. But I have to distribute the negative. So it's negative x to the second minus 19x minus 18. This second fraction right here has the x plus 6. It's missing the x minus 4. So when I FOIL that, I get x to the second minus 6x plus 8. Now I'm just going to clean that up. X squared minus x squared goes away. I get negative 15x minus 10 all over x minus 4 times x plus 6. Now I want to say something really fast. I can see that I can take a 5 out of the top, even maybe a negative 5. If I took out a negative 5, I'd be left with 3x plus 2. Is there a 3x plus 2 that I would then cancel with on the bottom? No, so it doesn't do me any good, okay? Okay, flip it over and do those last few. Everybody take your paper out and put it flat on your desk, okay? So I can come around and stamp it. And then I'm gonna see, there's 21, I already did 21. Let me see if I can get this done before you guys are off. Move everything, please, and have it out so I can just stamp it quickly.
I've only done like the first 3. No, this is out 6.
Check your 21. Did I get you all ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you move your things, both you girls? Thank you. Okay, for that mess. Okay.
It's not that good.
No, I've had a C for a month. I've had an A on the end.
Well, shoot.
Hey guys, 2 seconds. If you sat through that fractions tutorial, take your phone out and take a picture of those. I didn't quite get to 23. I'm sorry I didn't, but at least you can make sure you know how to do 21 and 22. So do it on your own, then check it using the photo that you just took, okay? Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you for those of you who participated in that. Hopefully it will be helpful.
Me? Oh, this class. I have math class.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. See you
Oh, okay.
later.
Good. Go clear things up with Gunn.
See you. Is
I
that okay?
He has a short
Okay,
term.
good. I'm glad.
Sometimes, like, not as bad as costly.
Oh yeah, Costa takes all turn.
Like, yeah.
See ya.
See ya.